Okay folks, so have you ever wondered just how effective your dechlorinator is? And at what point you should add it to your water? I'm going to explore some of those questions right after this. Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and it's time to do some experiments! Yes, as every aquarist knows, you must dechlorinate your water when you pull it out of the tap. But how much chlorine is in my water? At what point do I need to dechlorinate it? Should it be in a bucket? Can I do it as I pour it into the tank? Supposedly dechlorinator acts instantly, but I'd like to put that to the test. I bought two different types of chlorine tests. One's like a strip test. Maybe accurate, maybe less accurate. It can at least tell us if there's some chlorine in, and to some degree how much. And this test, which is a drip test, more like the traditional water test that you might see, for a freshwater or saltwater master's test. These things don't typically come in your regular aquarium tests, but you can get them from pool supply places or online. I'll have links. I bought this one on Amazon. I'll have a link for that. I'll put that in my Amazon page. And this one I got at my local fish store, so I'll have to see if that's available online or not. I have a range of dechlorinators I got just for this project. This is what I typically use. This is Aqualife Complete. This has been my go-to dechlorinator for a couple of years now. Partially because the last thing I bought with my daughter's discount was a really huge bucket of this stuff. Alright, so before I get too far into the video, there is a couple of little things I'd like to clear up. Yes, you absolutely can do dechlorination for free. Many people will say, and it's basically true, that you can dechlorinate for free just by leaving your water out and letting the chlorine evaporate out. This only works if your municipal water system uses chlorine and not chloramine. If it uses chloramine, this will not work, and you'll still need to use water conditioner. There are a couple of different ways to know if your municipal water system is using chloramine, and chloramine is basically chlorine bound with ammonia, and for that reason you can take these water tests, like this little dip test that I have here. It measures total chlorine and free chlorine. If those numbers are vastly different, when you do your water tests, you might have chloramine, especially if the total chlorine is really high and the free chlorine is really low. Another thing I've seen around is that if you can smell it in your water, then that means you have chloramine, or what you smell at the pool is chloramine. Now that's technically true. What you're smelling at the pool is a chloramine mixture, but it's not the same as what they use to disinfect your water. And you can, in fact, smell chlorine in your drinking water. You can even taste it. In fact, if you notice a difference in your water because of chloramine, you're going to notice that it tastes less like chlorine than before. You can also use carbon to dechlorinate your water, although to me that seems like it's even more expensive than the Dechlorinator. So if you're fairly certain that your water is treated with chlorine, you can put it out. Usually people recommend using an air stone or something like that to sort of move the water around. You can leave that out for maybe 24 hours or so and the chlorine will come out. What won't happen though is it won't take out the heavy metals and provide all the other things that kind of help really treat the water. So even though it's free and maybe it's too expensive to use Dechlorinator for you, especially in other places like in other countries, people recommend Prime all the time, for example, but Prime's really super expensive in some other countries, and if you've got major water changes to do, then that might not be feasible. But yes, I did want to let you know that if you don't have chloramines, you can let it sit out. For me, it's completely impractical. I'd much rather just get the water up to temperature and put it right in the tank. I don't want it sitting around my house for days and days. And I've got way too many aquariums, and especially with this big tank here, I've got way too much going on to have buckets of water sitting around for all these various different tanks. I'm definitely not going to get away with dragging a 50-gallon garbage can full of water around my living room and upstairs to do my water changes. It seems like every time I do a maintenance video and I show myself, pouring water directly into the aquarium and then adding Dechlorinator as I go, I get a few comments about how terrible that is. And I'm not saying that this experiment completely puts that to rest, but I'm hoping to sort of prove my theory. Add 1 teaspoon of Aqualife Complete water conditioner per 10 gallons of water. API Stress Coat has, add 5 milliliters per US gallon. It says removes chlorine, chloramine. I believe chloramine is actually like a chlorine bound with ammonia. It removes chlorine, chloramine, and heavy metals. Proven to reduce fish stress by 40%. I'm not sure how you measure that. Alright, then we got a top fin. I believe this was the cheapest. The cheapest of the dechlorinators, so we'll definitely put it to the test. 10 gallon is 10 milliliters. And Prime, this is a favorite for so many people. And it's probably pretty good. 1 capful with 5 milliliters for every 50 US gallons. So extremely concentrated. Because half the milliliters treats a lot more. So that's a very concentrated version. And that's it. Okay, probably the best way to start is just to do a baseline. So we're going to pull some water out of the tap and just kind of test it and see how it comes out. Alright, so I'm just going to throw some water in the bucket. We'll rinse it out a little bit. We'll pour some water in the bucket. No dechlorinator or anything. We'll just get a measure of chlorine. This is the dip test, and it says in here you're supposed to dip the strip into water, move back and forth for 30 seconds, or hold pads under a water. So basically you put this under the tap, and it'll turn purple if it's got chlorine in it. And as you'll see from the thing here, like pretty much any level of purple indicates chlorine. This is very similar to the Sarah product, and basically you put 8 drops into here, put 10 milliliters of water in, and then it'll turn yellow if there's a little bit of chlorine, and red if there's a whole lot of chlorine. Alright, so this is brand new. I'm going to fill this up to 10. Right at the precipice. Okay, there we go. 10 milliliters. Alright, here we go. So this should contain chlorine. Let's see how much. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, you can see pretty much right away that that's going to be yellow. And if we move over to the strip test, we'll go ahead and we'll do that for 30 seconds. Set a timer for 30 seconds.
Setting the timer. Your timer is set for 30 seconds.
And it is... Oh, you definitely got some purple there. We got an idea what it looks like with straight out of the tap. Alright, let's do the Prime. One cap full is 5 milliliters, and that does 50 gallons worth. Yeah, 5 milliliters is also this big thing right here. This is 1.25 milliliters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this as I fill up the water. There it is. This should technically be a little bit of an overdose. Not a lot, a little bit. Give it a little bit of a stir, not a lot. Grab 10 milliliters out. drops. I don't know, what do you think, folks? Let me get it in focus. Okay, folks, what do you think? Not bad, huh? I see, I don't know if you can tell. I'm looking at it like right on top of white. I see no discoloration whatsoever, no yellow, no nothing. Good job, Prime. And we're going to keep on going. Let me get the other one ready. Let's see, what's this one? You know what? I'm just going to put the same amount in each one. It's going to be kind of an overkill for that. Might be underkill for this one. What does it say? This one says to let it sit for 15 minutes before you add your bacteria product. Sometimes you can smell, some of them are sulfur based. That doesn't smell like sulfur. But boy, I don't like the way that you distribute the stuff though. Alright, so what does this say? 10 gallons is 10 milliliters, so 1 gallon should be what? 1 milliliter? Maybe? It actually has a 1 millimeter mark, so let's measure that out. Oh, okay, that's a little bit more than 1 millimeter, not a lot. Add that in there. We'll get it to 1 gallon. We'll try it again. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I got a little bit over 1 gallon. Get a little bit of a stir. Look at there. All right. Okay, so Prime's probably on the top end. This is definitely the bottom end, and I see the exact same result. So that's good. I should mention that there are other positive benefits that all these seem to include, like taking away heavy metals, leaving a nice slime coat for the fish. All of these have little side things that they do, but so you can't exclusively judge a water conditioner by this test, but I was curious about how quickly the chlorine would be removed. I guess it could be watering the plants or maybe topping off an aquarium. Oops, I probably shouldn't do that. I know this isn't perfect, I'm not like cleaning this out between each one, but it should be close enough to do what we need to do. Let's do some API stress coat. This is 5 milliliters per 10 US gallons. So that's like half a milliliter per gallon? We'll do the 1 milliliter. In fact, I'll just use the other one's measurements here. We'll do 1 milliliter, which should be probably twice what it's supposed to be. Let's see. 1 gallon, approximately 1 milliliter. Again, not very scientific mixing this stuff, but doesn't smell like anything. It looks like, visually, it looks like the exact same thing as the last one. All right, quickly stir a little bit and pull some out. Almost 10. Almost 10. There we go. 10 milliliters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nothing. Nothing, no chlorine in there. Just like the other ones. It's all the same. Alright, so we got one last one. Aqualife Complete. So 5 ml for 10 gallons. This is basically the same as the last one we did. I know this isn't perfect, but we give it a little bit of a wipe out. Alright. So we feel like we're doing the same thing. 1 milliliter. I'm going to try to do less than 1 milliliter, like a little bit. Alright, 1 mil. 1 gallon. Tapping the camera too over here. Alright, let's see here. Ten milliliters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little bit of a jiggle. And we look, and you can see, again, just like the others, no chlorine. Instantly, pretty much. I'd say instantly. I'll double check this one too. Probably the ultimate test would probably do a water change and then test the water right afterwards, so we might do that. Set a timer for 15 seconds. And as you can see, it passes the strip test too. They're completely white. Nice and pearly white with no colors. I wonder how fast it'll really work. So what I want to do is I'm going to drain down an aquarium, partially drain down an aquarium into this. I'm going to go ahead and do a water change down here, basically. But I'm going to take this 5-gallon tank, and I'm going to fill it partially up with regular aquarium water, straight out of the tank. Then what I'm going to do is sort of simulate a water change. I'm going to add some dechlorinate. I'm going to fill this up with water. I'm going to top it off, and then we'll do a test. So it'll be like a 5-gallon version of what I do on my bigger tanks. I'm going to fill this up with water. I'll be right back. 2 gallons of water, roughly 1 milliliter of Dechlorinator. All right. And once again, what I'm going to do, I've got maybe a quarter of a tank. Well, and once again, it looks like I've got about a half a tank here. I'm going to add 2 gallons of water. I'm going to add the Dechlorinator as I'm pouring it in, and then we're going to immediately measure it. I can smell the chlorine coming off of this thing. Yeah, definitely chlorine in this water. You can smell it. Okay, here we go. Water's going in. Chlorinator's going in. Let's up the cap a little bit. Okay, didn't get all the way to the top. That should be good enough for our purposes. Immediately take a sample and a little too much. That's probably all right. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give it a little shake. And I see no color whatsoever. Oh, a wet envelope. Yeah. You can see right down into there. It's perfectly white, perfectly clear. Vindicated. So yes, it works. So yes, you can add the Dechlorinator as you're filling up your tank and still feel dechlorinated or be dechlorinated. So 1 milliliter into 2 gallons is maybe a little bit more than is absolutely necessary, but still not a lot. Okay, folks, so I really did shoot an ending to this video. I guess I didn't hit record or something, so we're doing it this way. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's something a little different, just goofing around with some Dechlorinator, trying to experiment. And I encourage you to do the same with any products that, if you can prove the claim with like conventional means, then why not give it a try? Anyway, I hope I'll see you again next week. Until then, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. So yeah, I've got some measuring devices. I've got an aquarium I might experiment with in a little bit. I've got little ways to hold water and some things to put the water into the test. And really all we got to do is test. Hey, I think an aquarium might look nice up here on the kitchen counter. You guys want to keep going? Why not? Yeah, Sean. Dechlorinate all the water. Okay.